I want to thank everyone for tuning in to the 25th Hour Radio Show. I am your host, Rob Fairless, and on the phone with me today is Hip Hop Hall of Fame member, multi platinum DJ, and rapper, the legendary DJ Cool. Cool, man, thanks for taking a few minutes out of your day to join me on the show.
Yes, indeed. How's it going?
Man, it's going good, man. It's going good. I'm having a good time already talking to you, man. Let's start off like this. Let's take a quick trip back in time just to give my listeners a little background information about you. You know how they do it in comic books, man. There's always a superhero who has their own origin story, and how they became a superhero. What's DJ Cool's origin story, man? What made you want to set out on the journey to become a DJ in the first place?
Oh man, I was inspired by a who I like to call one of our pioneers around here as a DJ, a guy named Maniac McLeod. Um, he was probably, matter of fact, he was the best DJ, the best club DJ in this area in the mid to late, I say mid '70s up to like mid '70s to mid '80s, I would say. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
man.
it was like it was him and it was everybody else, and everybody knew that. Like all the other DJs would always, go to see Maniac McLeod, and so he was my inspiration, and he wound up being a mentor to me.
Now, do you remember when you first started to get that first taste of fame because of your music? Now, I'm not talking about a record deal or anything like that, but rather when the word of mouth started traveling around about this guy named DJ Cool.
Well, it goes a little something like this. I started as a mobile DJ in 1978, and I was working with a company called the Sound Service. Shout out to Ashton Greaves, or Dr. Ashton Greaves. He was the owner of the Sound Service, and it was once again it was a mobile DJ unit, and I wound up being his star DJ, I guess for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I got you.
And so I worked with him from '78 to '79. I started in the clubs in '79. I got my shot because of a guy named Keith Jefferson. He used to work at a place called the Paragon 2. And he seen me while I was out working uh, with the sound service. I think he caught me at a event or a party or something. He was like, "Man, you good enough to be working in clubs." He said, "You should come up to Paragon." That was a club that used to be in Georgetown area of Washington D.C., which is Northwest D.C. He said, "You should come to the Paragon, man, because I'm getting ready to leave there. You should come up there and get that job." So I did it, and I worked at the Paragon 2 on Fridays and Saturdays with a buddy of mine. Shout out to RG, and we did that from '79 to 1982.
Man,
And
I've talked to a ton of musical artists, man, rappers, rockers, opera singers, man. I've done it all, right? And I've
mhm,
asked this question pretty much to everyone who's been on the show with me, and everyone always gives like a little bit different answer. So I'm curious how you're going to respond here. It takes a certain somebody to do what you do, and I'm not just talking about the talent you have, but I'm talking about the confidence you display when you perform. Were you always a natural when performing in front of a crowd, or did it take a while to build up that level of confidence?
nah, man, like I guess maybe you could call me a natural. It's always something that I've always liked to do. Like honestly, DJing was something that I used as the stepping stone to becoming an artist. I always wanted to perform. For me, and I know it probably sounds cliche, uh, for somebody that comes, from an area like where I come from, coming from a urban background or what have you here in DC in the inner city, but it was always music and sports. Well, it just so happened that music took over, and I tell people all the time, if it wasn't for hip hop, my dream was to play keyboards for Parliament Funkadelic.
Now, do you remember the first day you got your record deal? Who was the first person you called to let them in on the good news?
Well, my mother was the first one that
That's
knew
what I
me.
thought you was going to say.
Yeah. I'm an only child, and God rest her soul. She was my biggest fan and whatnot. But the way that I got my deal was even odd. Shout out to Deke DeBerry. May he rest in peace. He used to be a independent record promoter, and he had an independent label called CFM Music, which stood for Creative Funk Music. He came to a club, one of the clubs that I wound up working at, a place called The Room. I worked there from 1982 to 1986. And he would always come there just about every week or so, bringing me a stack of records from all these different labels. But one particular week, he said, "Man, you ever thought about going in the studio?" And I said, "Yeah, I've always wanted to go in, you know, and and do my first, song or what have you." So anyway, he was like, "Look, I want you to come in. I want you to do a mix for me." And he had a group. He had a R&B group. So to make a long story short, I did the mix. And once again, while we were in there, he asked me the question, did I ever think about making records? And I said just what I said a moment ago. I always wanted to use DJing as a stepping stone to becoming an artist. So to make a long story short, that was how I came up with my first mix. The music ain't loud enough.
You know, man, this is kind of off subject, but I was going over some of the stuff I seen of you on YouTube, and I seen where you had the opportunity to go on a cruise a few years back and perform. I don't know what the theme was, but it was a bunch of different artists. What was that like? That had to be pretty awesome to be able to go out on a cruise with your peers.
That was part of the Tom Joyner cruise, which is something that I've been doing for God knows how many years. Shout out to Tom Joyner. God, I've been doing Tom Joyner cruise. I think the first one I've done was 06 or 09 or something like that.
Yeah.
I've done a bunch of Tom Joyner cruises, and so that's what that event was all about. We performing with a lot of my peers on the Tom Joyner cruise.
So you got to be a fan and a performer.
Oh yeah, yep. So you got all the people. That was the first time I seen Tyler Perry.
Really?
Before he became the Tyler Perry that we know now, he didn't have any movies out at that time. He was doing stage plays, and so he brought his first stage play using the character Medea, and that was the first time I seen him was on Tom Joyner cruise.
Very cool, very cool. So it was cool rubbing shoulders with your fellow artists on that cruise, but now you're rubbing shoulders with the best that ever done it, man. I see that you're a member of the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. That has to be like one of the top highlights of your career, right? Congratulations on that.
It is. I would say that's like top 3 right there. You know what I mean?
I bet.
That was done in D.C. I actually got a call 2 weeks ago to let me know that I'm now going to be inducted into the Hip Hop Hall of Fame in New York this year.
Oh, cool, man. Congratulations on that.
So I'm like, wow. So I'm the only DJ here that will have been inducted in D.C. and in New York.
Set you apart from the crowd right there, man.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you got going on now? I know you run your own show on Monday nights. What type of show is it, and where can fans go to check it out?
It used to be called Go-Go Radio Live, and it's all about just playing the music from here, Go-Go music, which is created by Chuck Brown. And anybody that knows anything about music knows who Chuck Brown is. You might not know a lot of songs, but you can remember the song "Bustin' Loose," which was done in the late '70s, and whatnot. And Chuck is we call him the Godfather, Go-Go. Chuck to Go-Go music and the culture that the music comes out of. He is to Go-Go what I would say Bob Marley is to reggae. You know what I mean? And so basically, Go-Go Radio Live, or that program rather, is just our way of keeping his legacy alive, keeping the music going. We are now called, and well, it's so much going on right now. But anyway, that show you could see me on Facebook right now, but I think pretty soon we won't be able to see me on Facebook, but you'll be able to see me on all your major TV streaming apps. And we changed the name of it from Go-Go Radio Live to Go-Go TV. And the reason why we had to do that was because Facebook does not want anybody doing any DJ live streaming. They've been chopping my numbers up like a turkey on Thanksgiving.
Man, what's up with that?
Yeah, well, that's, I guess they don't want to be responsible for the copyright, laws and stuff like that. So anyway, they implemented that back. They started talking about it last September, and they actually implemented it or started it rather back in last October, back last October. So to make a long story short, we are getting off of Facebook, and we have our own service provider, and we call it now GoGo TV.
Now so you say you're getting off Facebook. What's your favorite social media platform? Where can fans like find you hanging out the most on?
Instagram.
Instagram.
But on Instagram and Facebook, you can find me at Legendary DJ Cool DC on Instagram and Facebook. But I'm primarily on Instagram.
Now you got a website, legendary-djcooldc.com, where you can find like merchandise and stuff, right? Like hats, shirts, lapel pins, a little bit of something for everybody.
Yes. Those are that's my merch line that I'm working on right now. Presently, we have the All Gas No Brakes T-shirts. We have the Socko T-shirts, with Socko as my little sock puppet character that I have. That helps me as far as the promotion of my Monday Night Live. Well, the show that I call Monday Night Live, which is the broadcast that I do on Mondays. And we have the Socko shirts. We're also going to have a few more new designs coming up. We got the logo hats, the logo lapel pins. So there's a merch line that I'm trying to build. But you could get to that through my Linktree link on Facebook or Instagram. And you just hit the link in Linktree and you go to DJ Cool Merch, and there you go.
So cool, man. Before we start to wrap this up, do you have any final words for my listening audience? Any words of wisdom or anything I might have failed to mention that you want to go ahead and throw out there?
Well, as far as any words of wisdom is concerned, man, this is just me. This is how I roll. Make sure you keep God first in everything you do.
Amen,
brother. And and just take care of yourselves out here. We have some real different times right now. People are going through some stuff, man, that in my 63 years of living, I've never seen. Like, I never thought that we'd be running around here wearing a bunch of masks, doing this, doing that. So I just want people to stay prayed up, man, stay vigilant, stay safe. In other news, I have a brand new single that we're releasing right now called Cha Cha Cha. And you could you can actually go to my YouTube channel, which is at Legendary DJ Cool DC on YouTube. Or you can go to YouTube and type in DJ Cool Cha 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 Dance, and you will see a video of a young lady conducting a line dance class, and she's showing everybody how to do the dance that goes along with the song Cha Cha Cha. As a matter of fact, we'll be shooting a video for that next week here in DC, next Wednesday.
I can imagine that being the new dance at all the weddings.
Hey, we want it to be the new dance at the weddings, at whatever event. You know what I'm saying? To put a bunch of people together at. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you, man. Well, man, like I mentioned, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, man, it's time for us to, work on getting back together, man, and try to get back to some sense of normalcy, because we've been going through some weird times like this last year, and I don't know, almost a year and a half.
You ain't lying, man.
Weird, to say the least. You know what I mean? And so I think a song that's going to prompt everybody to get back together again will kind of help us work our way back to some sort of sense of normal.
Well, man, like I mentioned to you on Instagram when we were talking for the first time, it's awesome to be able to have a chance to speak with you. Of course, I have all kinds of memories from back in the day that's tied to your music, so being able to speak with you has definitely been a highlight of my radio career. Man, thank you. I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate the opportunity.